Thank you. Hello, Alan. How are you? All right?
Good, thanks.
What's your reflections on last week and going into this game? What have you learned and what have you got to be better at this weekend?
Reflections. It's a win. Thought the characters showed through. Obviously, Ireland galvanised by the red, and we probably put a bit of pressure ourselves in the first half, and we came through that, and won the game. We've obviously got a few changes. It's a further test of the squad in another fixture.
Just in terms of the 6-day turnaround, how challenging is that? And you've had a few injuries this week. How have you coped as a squad?
It's obviously disappointing for the guys that have been injured in the game and in training, but it's a test of the squad, and someone comes into position and we have to move on. You do feel for those guys, like I say, but we have to move on, and that's what we do. 6-day turnarounds are a thing that most people have been involved with in the domestic competitions we play in, and whatever else we've been involved in. So it's something we just have to deal with.
Scotland have obviously been improving for the last couple of years. Great win for them in England last weekend. What do you make of them and what challenges will they pose?
Well, it's like you said, they've been, excuse me, just a door. They've been improving year on year. I think, they were due probably a win like that. Obviously, they beat us in the Nations Cup, but to do in a Calcutta Cup match was obviously very special for them and the competition. And they've built on what we've seen in recent years, but particularly on their performances in the Nation Cup.
Someone you know well, Steve Tandy. What's he added to them? And he's turned up an international defence coach. What sort of character is he, and what will he bring to that?
I couldn't tell you in detail what he's brought, but obviously the defence has been going well for them. In credit to Steve, he left the Ospreys. He's gone and went to Australia for 18 months, and he's gone to improve himself and come back. And obviously, he's done that and added to the Scotland environment. So credit to him and what he's achieved thus far.
And how are the conditions up there, Alice? We've seen some pictures of the snow up there, and it's meant to be quite cold this weekend. How is it looking up there?
We welcome the glorious sunshine and some white stuff on the floor. There you go. Cheers, Alex. But yeah, so it's just cold, but not as cold as everyone's saying. So,
thank you, Al.
Hey, Alun Wyn, it's a better on my TV. You all right?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Listen, everyone's talking about injuries, but you look at that team that's starting, and it's still blinking good, isn't it?
Yeah, it depends on your perspective, though, doesn't it? And your position when you look at that side, where we are in relation, like I've already said, to the availability and the injuries that are there. But you realise that if it wasn't you, there's someone going to step into the breach, and they do that. And that's what we've done with the squad we have, and we'll move forward.
When you say people's perspective, what do you mean by that? Because it's when you look at the names on the list, that they're world class players, and doing the job that they will do for Wales as they have before.
Well, purely as a word state's perspective.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Alan. How are you doing? Just wanted to ask about the injuries. Is there anything different that you felt in this camp, or do you think it's just a Wales curse on these injuries?
I don't know about a curse. I know people were having one eye on COVID, obviously, because they compared it to I think it was the NFL lockout, was it? But I'm sure there'll be investigations and research done by someone doing a PhD or degree in the fullness of time. But sometimes that's the way it goes, and that's where we find ourselves, and we've got to carry on.
With so many injuries, does it mean that the likes of yourself and the more experienced players in the squad have a bit more pressure going into this weekend?
We pull the red of Wales on. You've always got pressure irrelevant of your stature.
I guess Wales were the slight underdogs coming into this Six Nations, but the solid win last week, you're going into this one with confidence. How are you feeling about the overall perspective of the Six Nations? Do you think you can get that Grand Slam?
Well, we'll let people deal with the labels and stuff, and obviously we've got to continue to try and improve on what we I've already done and what we did in the Nations Cup. I spoke to you guys last week and said we needed to do that. We've got one step on the ladder, if you like, and we need to carry on in a similar vein, and we'll try to do that.
And just a final one from me. There's been a lot this week made of online hate abuse on social media. I don't know if you've experienced anything yourself in your career, or any sort of advice that you would give to players that have received stuff online.
I think I don't really know where that question's coming from. Sorry. So.
It was just on the nature of this week. There's been a lot of footballers that have received sort of social media comments on their posts talking about their performance as players. I just wondered if you had received anything similar in your career, and if you've got any comments on that.
Well, I understand what you're saying, sorry, but I suppose it's the nature of the beast and where we are. If you're in a position where you're in the public eye, that you've got to take the rough with the smooth. I think it's probably just been highlighted at the minute because obviously people are in lockdown and there's more time to use words. But it's like I say, unfortunately, I have to take the rough with the smooth.
Thanks.
Hi, Alan. Just one from me, if that's all right. When you reviewed the Scotland win at Twickenham, what particularly impressed you about their performance?
I think, in fairness to Scotland, they haven't deviated from their attacking game. Their set piece has been probably a staple throughout. And people probably could have said they could have stopped playing and tried to be as expansive. But I think with the spine of the team with Finn Russell and Stuart Hogg, they haven't, like I say, deviated from maintaining that appetite for attack, and to see them to continue to do that, particularly in those conditions, was credit to them.
I said one, but I'm going to sneak another. Sorry. Nick Tompkins yesterday was talking to us about how it's a collective effort against Finn Russell. You can't sort of be a hero and try and stop him on your own. Is that the key for tomorrow? It's not just about one player. It's everyone doing their own job and not flying out the line on things like that.
Yeah, I completely agree with what Nick's saying, but also it's 15 on 15 as well. You don't want to focus on one individual and then another goes past. So we're well aware of the threats that they have, particularly in the back three, and some dynamic fours as well. So we know the box of tricks that Finn has, and the ability he has to play. But like I say, we've got to focus on the 15, not solely on an individual.
Alan, just after last week, now that you've had a chance to review your performance, where would you like to see Wales kick on? Is there any specific area that you feel needed particular attention after last week's game?
It's funny, it's performance in sport and the areas you work in. Sometimes it's like trying to keep the tide out. One area improves and then another, renege and another. I think our scrum was improved on the pictures we showed there. We were pleased with the line of defence. We probably let a couple go in attack. Generally, defence had improved, and our territory was there. But when we have that possession, particularly on entries into the 22, we've got to capitalise. We've got to come away with something. So I think those two main ones for me would be capitalise on the possession we have, and those elements of execution that let ourselves down, we'll improve on.
And just one more from me. Having had experience now of playing in situations where there's no crowd, what's that been like? And do you think it gives you a slight advantage going to a place like Murrayfield where there's no home crowd, having seen how the Scots did on the other end of it down in Glenegley?
I don't know. I think ultimately sport is for all. I know it sounds like a catchphrase, but you play at an elite level to be there to enjoy it with the fans and put on a performance to be enjoyed by people to watch. But if I'm honest, before we knew that there weren't going to be fans. You sort of, yes, you can get on with the job side of things, but to play in a Principality Stadium without the travelling fans and obviously particularly the home fans, you definitely do miss it.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, everybody.